welcome to Quantum's Liberty Day 22. Good morning, birdies. Hope this day is finding you well. This is the DeStress series and Immune Boost. And today on the phone with us, we have Yolanda. Hi, sweetheart. Yolanda's 10 from Connecticut, and she has family in Uganda. And today we're going to be talking about overwhelm from that. And we're doing a little bit of DeStress and Immune Boost with Yolanda. So let's start tapping. Today I thought I'd talk about some fun things. A little bit of the quantum leap theory that Nijeboer, who's a Danish physicist, he talked about it years ago. But so because there are things that are going on in Uganda right now that Yolanda is feeling very stressed about, and your family is over there, and so we know that you do have the ability to communicate with them. Keep on tapping. And so that you can take the science that you have available to you and help them by teaching them what they can do to make their world in Uganda a little bit safer place to be. So I thought we'd tap on first, because we always want to tap on that feeling of stress or upset inside of your body, right? So we want to take that and we want to tap on that. And when we're tapping on this 5,000-year-old acupressure meridian endpoint, what we're doing is we're slowing down firing to your amygdala, which is your fight, flight, freeze center. And when we do this, then your whole central nervous system comes into balance, right? And you can come to a place of peace and calm where you can think about what's the next best thing that I can do in this situation for my family and for all the people that I love. So when we're doing the tapping, not only is this slowing down the firing to the amygdala, when that happens, then the neurons aren't going to the amygdala telling everything to fight, flight, and freeze and sending oxygen to your arms and legs so you can run from danger. Instead, the oxygen stays right here in your prefrontal cortex, right? And inside of your prefrontal cortex, you have all these beautiful blood vessels, which bring oxygen to our self-awareness center. And when we're tapping too on the rest of the points that we're going to be tapping on, we'll be tapping in some beautiful neurohormones and neurotransmitters, right, that will be bringing beautiful things to this prefrontal cortex too. So not only will you be having things like dopamine, which is your go-get-em hormone, right? But also serotonin, which is your I've got it hormone. And also nitric oxide goes into your prefrontal cortex too, and that keeps the capillaries nice and dilated. So let's see if it's in this one. Oh, it's not that one, but there's a beautiful picture, keep on tapping, of the capillaries when you have stress and the amygdala says, run from danger, right? Then what happens is within 14 seconds of you being aware of the stress, even being in your body or in your mind, before that even happens, within just a couple seconds, already the amygdala has sent the firing, right? And it's telling everything to shut down and send the oxygen only to arms and legs for running. But instead, what happens when the amygdala isn't getting that firing by tapping on this psychological reversal point, then what happens is nitric oxide stays in there too, and it tells the capillaries to stay open instead of shutting 70% down, which happens within just a second of you, before you even know, 14 seconds later, that you're feeling stress. So when you know you're going to be going into a stressful situation, Yolanda, all you really have to do, you could help your body and mind to be able to be centered by tapping. And if you're with a bunch of friends, you can just put your hands right behind your back. Sometimes I do that if I'm with a friend and we're having a discussion and I can't think about the next best thing to do, is I'll tap behind my back. And then sometimes that helps me to be able to think of the next best thing that would be the best right action to take. So in this situation in Uganda, we can look at, and Reuters, right? Let's start tapping just a little bit. Yeah, I'm thinking that let's talk about Reuters. It's a website, Reuters, and they have graphs of all the different countries in the world, right? And it will show you what happens when that country got put down on lockdown and how many cases there were. And the really beautiful thing with Uganda, and what you can do, is you can teach your family about how important it is to wear a mask right through this, because as we know, Dr. John Brooks of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, he is the chief medical officer for the COVID task team as of February or March of this year. And he says that whatever we can do to improve the performance of masks right now will speed our control of this pandemic. So let's say that. Let's tap on the stress that it is, right? Because what we saw on Reuters when we looked at those graphs, we noticed in Uganda, when they let everything just release, right, they had the lockdown and the numbers stayed low. And then when they got a little bit of less of a lockdown, then the numbers started to go up a little bit. And then when it was completely opened up, the numbers just went through the roof. It's a very powerful graph. I'll try to put a link in the description. So what we do know from research is that when we wear a double mask, and it doesn't have to be a thick thing that you can't breathe through, it's really just a single surgical mask and then a single layer of cotton over that. And that alone will diminish the aerosols going in and out of the mask by 96.4%. So we're talking about if you have that kind of well-fitted mask, right, that Dr. John Brooks says, and repeat after me, whatever we can do to improve the performance of masks right now will speed our control of this pandemic. That is pretty powerful. So let's do that. Let's do what we can do to get the pandemic under control, and just know that the 7 nations at the G7 summit, they said they're going to be sending 1 billion doses, and the World Health Organization said we need 11, so 11 billion. And so let's all just send really good thoughts out for that happening. And one of the things that I was going to talk about was this quantum leap theory, right? So this is Niels Bohr, and this is his diagram of what we know about how an electron in the quantum world works. So quantum mechanics tells us that things, quantum has both wave and it also has particle. It also has matter. So it exists both as infinite possibilities where that particle can be everywhere at the same time, right? It exists as possible infinite possibilities. And the other thing is that it exists as a particle, as matter. So what Niels Bohr says is that when a quantum leap occurs, electrons, as a rule, they spin in an orbit, right, around a nucleus. And so what happens with an electron is it has both wave and particle possibilities because it is quantum. And so what happens is the electron, when it has a quantum leap, and this requires a quantum leap in consciousness, right? This is about evolution, and it's about being able to perceive and to maintain control of the pandemic in what way that we know when we evolve to be able to do. So in this quantum leap that we have to think about is that what do we know about the coronavirus, right? And in a quantum leap, it literally doesn't go through this field, right? It doesn't continue as a continuous wave, but it jumps. It actually just disappears and reappears in the next circle there, in the next orbit. And that's what a quantum does. And we have that capability too, because we are quantum, we're made up of that. So in our consciousness, we can literally take into account that we can, and sometimes we'll have to, make a jump that might not be very comfortable. I'm not saying that it always would be uncomfortable, but sometimes you just have to take that jump and grow and continue to grow. And we will have maybe, in nature, setbacks come because we are not used to that change so rapidly, perhaps. But we can do this. So let's tap on, even though, to repeat after me, even though I'm really nervous about Uganda and my family there, I deeply love and accept myself with all these feelings. Even though I am very unhappy with how fast the coronavirus is spreading, I'm really upset about it. I accept myself with these feelings, and I love myself for having them. Even though I'm really sad about all these feelings, and it makes me really uncomfortable, I just want to say, nah, don't want to listen to it. I acknowledge and love myself exactly as I am. This stress and sadness, my family is under great duress. My family is under sad circumstances. Very stressful circumstances. They must all be so upset. If I'm upset over here, and even though this makes me pretty sad, and it's really chaotic, if only the lockdown hadn't been lifted completely, and maybe the circumstances would be different. Well, here we are right in our bodies, and the tapping lowers the stress hormone. My amygdala would have sent cortisol out to my arms and legs to run from danger. But no, instead, with the tapping, my cortisol levels are dropping. And other hormones and neurotransmitters and immunoglobulins are going up, up, up. That means I have yummy dopamine and serotonin running around my brain and body, and anandamide, the bliss hormone, that's sloshing around all my cells too. Oh, and let's not forget oxytocin, because the oxytocin unlocks the anandamide and the nitric oxide, which we know helps our blood vessels stay dilated, in particularly in the self-awareness center, the prefrontal cortex. It's just funny hearing a 10-year-old saying these big words. And you're doing a great job. I am bliss. I am powerful. I am choosing. I am choosing science. I am choosing to look at the graphs. I am choosing to use my self-awareness center. And I think about the next best thing to do. I am walking in radiant health. This is a new one. This gets right into your central nervous system. I am walking and talking in radiant health. And you can do both, like under the eyes and the chin. I don't know, there's a way to do it like that. I am powerful. I am healthy. I am radiantly healthy. I am choosing peace. I choose clarity of mind, body, and spirit. Yes, I am. Bye, Yolanda.